Welcome to the Dental Marketing Secrets Podcast, where we provide insight and feedback on what's working right now in the world of dental marketing so that you can grow your practice, serve more patients, and leave a greater impact in the end. I'm your host, Mark Thackeray. All right, you guys, another day, another episode of the Dental Marketing Secrets Podcast. So excited to be here. I love doing this show and just thrilled to have you with me for the ride. I just get such a kick out of connecting with other industry leaders and providers and practices to hear what's going on and how we can share what's working for them with everyone else, because there is just so much that we can do. There's so much business to be had. There's so many patients that we can serve. It's just a tremendous time that we live in right now. And I'm excited to be here with you. I'm Mark Thackeray. In case you're new to the show, welcome. All the faithful listeners, old timers, welcome back. We got a great episode lined up for you today. I just finished wrapping up an interview with Sarah Johnson, who is the co-founder of Jamba John. She's the content director over there as well. And Sarah is amazing. You'll hear it throughout the whole episode, but she just has a gift with messaging and communication. We're going to be talking specifically with messaging and communication as it relates to your website. That is one of the things that they do, is they fuse together the design and programming aspects of a website with the communication aspect, with the storytelling, with the content, so that it really resonates with your ideal audience. It gets them to pay attention and to remember what it is that you do and how you can help them. Sarah, a little bit about Sarah. She is a writer. She has a lifelong passion for writing, and her work has been featured in everything from newspapers to social media outlets to blogs to websites to newsletters, printed materials for more than 400 companies over the past decade. She has also served as an editor for 3 full-length novels and just finished writing her very first book, which is so exciting. Stoked for her. Sarah serves as the vice president for the Evans Biography Award and has twice been a chapter president for BNI, a networking group. She proudly earned her organization communications degree from the University of Utah. Smart gal. Go Utes. She is married to her college sweetheart for 20 years, and they are proud parents of 4 kids. She loves anything that has to do with a garden, cozying up to a good book, and baking chocolate chip cookies, because those are the best. So excited to have her on here. This is one that if you are looking at designing a website, redesigning your website, starting afresh, you're going to want to come back to this episode and dive into the keys that Sarah talks about. We get into how you really need to start your messaging with the problems that you solve for your patients. That is what's going to catch their interest. That's what's going to help cut through all the clutter and all the messaging. There's zillions of messages that go on every single day, but starting with their problems is going to help them pay attention to what you do. And she has so many great tips in this, and she also has some resources for you at the end. So make sure you listen all the way through. But like I said, if you're in the market for if you're looking to do it, whether you're doing it yourself or you have someone locally, she has some great insights that you're going to want to look at when redesigning your website. So without further ado, let's dive into this interview with Sarah Johnson, the co-founder of Jamba John. All right, you guys, welcome back to the show. I have Sarah Johnson with me. We're going to be diving into a lot of great things, great topics about web design, about content creation, about communication of your values and your messaging, how to connect with your ideal audience, your ideal patients. So excited to have you with us, Sarah. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for having me, Mark.
Yeah. We tell us. Well, yeah. Why don't we start here, Sarah? Give us 1 to 2 minutes. Tell us a little bit about your background and where you're coming from. You have a lot of experience, communication, writing. You're a tremendous copywriter. We talked about that before the show.
Yeah.
And we kind of jazzed on a lot of things that we both really get excited about. But yeah, give us an overview of what you do at Jamba John, and then kind of what you bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And so glad to be on the show. Thanks so much. And so excited to spend a little bit of time together and giving great content to your viewers. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah. So my background, our company is called Jumbo John. Jumbo means hello in Swahili.
Oh, I
And
didn't know
hopefully
that.
you're a little bit smarter now.
Yeah.
But we help small and medium-sized companies build a website platform that can help them grow their business. It's basically what we do. You think about that virtual safari that we're all in, trying to find that watering hole, trying to find the adventure and connecting with other human beings on the planet. We're really helping create that virtual platform that can help you attract the right clients and help you keep the right clients. And we specialize in copywriting, graphic design, and programming. And so we combine those three elements to help business owners really put the pieces together for their online marketing campaign. So my background, I grew up in Salt Lake City. The closest I ever got to an Ivy League college was the neighborhood I grew up in.
Yeah.
There's this old neighborhood, and kind of the oldest part of the city, the Harvard, Yale.
Yeah.
There's streets with the college names. So I don't know if you've ever been over there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's
But
great over there.
I grew up over there and had a really great neighborhood that I lived in. I went to the University of Utah and got a degree in communications. I worked at Red Butte Garden. Have you been to Red Butte Garden?
Yes, I love Red Butte Garden.
Yeah. So for those who haven't been there or aren't from Salt Lake City, it's a 150-acre botanical garden. And we operated on a shoestring budget. So as a sophomore in college, I got to do press checks for major media campaigns. I got to be on the news, Big Buddha at 6 o'clock in the morning. I got my first byline in the Desert News, which is a local newspaper that's slowly dying here in the valley.
Yeah.
And fast forward 20 years, my husband and I are actually celebrating our 21st wedding anniversary tomorrow.
Congratulations. So cool.
Thank you. I got married when I was 7, so that worked out. Totally joking. We have 4 kids, and we started Jumbo John about 11 years ago and have helped 400 plus companies around the nation build website platforms that really showcase the values and the purpose and the passion, the mission, the products that they're using to serve their clients. And so anyway, that's kind of the nuts and bolts. It's been a great journey. It's been exciting. It's been a busy year because everything
so busy
is virtual now. So.
Oh, that is awesome. And Sarah, I loved your description too, just how you guys are you're the watering hole, I mean, I just love that visual that you shared, because it's a great it's a great metaphor for, what you're trying to build for your clients, so you're in this case, your ideal patients should come to you and see you as that watering hole in the desert, where they find exactly what they need. They've been searching for this. And I think that dovetails perfectly into what we're going to be talking about today. And really the context for this whole episode is just having a website is not enough. I mean, we know that you need to have it, and everyone's, yes, I check that box, but it really needs to be something like this watering hole concept. I love that, because that cuts through the clutter. I mean, when you are so thirsty and parched and all you're looking for is that refreshment, it doesn't matter what's on the side. I mean, if you're trekking through the desert, it doesn't matter that there's these beautiful trees over here, or there's a carnival going on over here. I mean, you're just focused on that water, and so I think that's a perfect way to describe that.
Yes.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about this, because I know your process is a little bit different, than some designers out there, because you guys actually take into consideration both the design and the programming aspect, as well as the content, and I find that's very unique. So tell us a little bit about your kind of your process when it comes to that.
I would love to. And I'm going to dive into a little bit of psychology, and I hope that's okay with you.
Oh, please do.
So when we talk about the safari, when we talk about the desert, there's this immediate sensation of lack. There's this immediate sensation of desperation to find something that is in short supply. And I don't want to lead you or your audience to believe that that's true for business and commerce in our day and age. There's so much business out there to be had.
Yes.
Just in the city that we live in, and I don't know the exact numbers, but close to 1 million people, I'm guessing, that live in our Salt Lake Valley. How many of those people can you actually have in your office? If you're a dentist or an orthodontist, how many people do you need of the 1 million? And whatever city you're in, maybe it's a small city and there's 100,000 people in your city.
Yeah, right.
How many of those people can you serve? So first off, we work from the place of abundance. So there is plenty of work to be had for all of us. And I think it's really important that we focus on what problems you solve. And I'm going to explain why. I'm not a fear monger. I don't like to market based on fear. I think that is manipulative. But I do want to focus on the fact that if you're not solving somebody's problem, they won't care about your advertisement. So leading out with, we've been in business for 30 years. Don't do that.
Yeah, right.
They don't care. They don't care how long you've been in business for.
It's just a platitude, right?
It's just a platitude. And this is the reason why I'm going to get into a little bit of psychology. I'm going to grab, this is a paintbrush in my office. Okay. So in your brain, there's a piece of your brain called the reticular activating system. Have you ever heard of that, Mark?
I have. Yeah, I have.
Awesome. It's about the shape of a pencil, or in this case, a paintbrush. And it's on the back of your head. And it runs between the top of your head and down your spine right here. And what its job is to filter all of the data that our body's receiving and processing into something that we can manage and into something that we can focus on. Do you have any guesses, Mark, how many bits of information our brain processes every second? What's your guess? Just throw a number out there.
Putting me on the spot. How about, I don't know, 3,000?
Wow, that's a lot.
That is a
It's
lot.
way more than that.
Is it really?
Yeah. 11 million bits of data.
No way.
Every second our brain processes. Can you imagine?
No, I can't. That's crazy.
We have this infinite amount of data, and that includes like, what chemicals does your body need to produce so your kidneys are working properly? And how did this morning's breakfast go through your dietary tract? And oh my gosh, I just stubbed my toe, and that reminded me of when I was 3 years old and I cried at school and I was embarrassed and wet my pants.
Right.
Like all of the things. And then you have the stoplight and the temperature and the wind and the feeling of the sun on your face. There's all of this data. And so if we did not have some kind of filter, we would literally not be able to do anything.
Right.
So this idea, like a lot of people talk about multitasking, right? You actually can't.
Yeah. It's a myth.
So if you're doing multitasking, all it means is that your brain is shifting focus from one thing, and then you stop focusing on that to do another thing. You can't do two things at the same time.
Yeah.
So the reticular activating system, and I promise this gets back to websites, I promise. Your conscious mind, the filter that processes 11 million bits of data a second, that filter allows our brains to process about 50 bits of data a second, which is still quite a lot of information, right? Yeah. So I want you to think of, like, if you're watching this at home or at your office, I want you to think about, just close your eyes and think about what is like at the forefront of your mind. What are those things that are truly at the forefront of your mind? And it might be, like I said, it might be the temperature, it might be your chair. You might have a loved one, a family member that's in a crisis, whether with a medical condition or a mental health condition. You might be having a patient that's keeping you up at night, or an employee that's really on your heart or on your mind. Maybe you're thinking about business processes and things like that. So that's a lot of information to be processing. So when you're considering creating a message for your practice, for your dental practice, for your orthodontist practice, if you don't focus on a problem that you're solving, if you don't advertise with a foot forward with a specific problem that you're solving, the consumers that are looking at your message, their brain will actually not even allow them to see it. Our brain is amazing.
True.
There's a show, what is it called? I can't remember, Mind Games or something like that. It's on Disney Plus. It's like I can't remember what it's called, but it's all about brain games. Have you heard of that?
I haven't. No, but I'll be sure to look at it right after this.
Yeah. And it's just for kids, and it teaches kids about your brain and like how your brain functions. And it does these cool tricks with your brain to showcase how amazing your brain is. So there was a scene on Brain Games, and there was about 15 footballs crossing the screen, and it was the same size, same shape, same color, but they were going on different paths all over. And the commentator was like, okay, just focus on one football and follow that.
Yeah.
And literally within 3 seconds, all the other footballs disappeared from my view.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what happened? I was like, well, there was only one football. He's like, no, they were all there the whole time. But your brain actually makes things disappear to help you, number one, stay alive, And number two, use as few calories as possible.
Yeah, it's all about economy, right? I mean, body economy.
Yeah. So I guess we're talking about marketing and as we're talking about a website, if you don't solve a problem, it's literally like your brochure or your messaging disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. And you see that every day. I mean, because like you said, we're processing all this information, but there's also, I mean, from an advertising marketing standpoint, there's so many, I mean, the numbers vary depending on where you get the source, who your source is, but it's, 5,000 to 7,000 marketing messages every single day that you're sifting through subconsciously, and like you said, if you stopped and really considered each message, you would not get out your front door. I mean, you'd just be paralyzed by all the information.
Right. And so your brain literally is doing a great job of keeping you alive. And so let's think about in terms of marketing, like literally, like what are you offering that's keeping somebody alive or making it easy to stay alive? And so your brain doesn't understand the difference between a real danger and a perceived danger. And so, for example, if somebody's in egregious pain with their tooth, they're probably not going to die in this day and age from a tooth infection. They might have 500 years ago, right?
Right.
But the brain doesn't understand the difference between a perceived threat and an actual threat. And so their body is going to go into fight or flight because of that pain. So let's think about, and you don't always have to have like some huge life and death problem that you're solving. But for example, I've done work for several dentists, and I was excited to be able to showcase how you can use your passion and your product in a way that like really resonates with your purpose.
Yeah.
And showcase how you can differentiate yourself from the other dentists and orthodontists in the valley and in the city, right?
Right.
So I had one friend who's a dentist, and we did his website for him. And I was going through a process and asking him all these questions, and he said, "I love doing root canals."
Mm.
I was like, "What?" And I'm like, I had a lot of dental trauma as a kid, right? I was the kid that always had a cavity, and I had really soft teeth. And so for me, like the idea of a root canal, that triggers a lot of like an emotional response.
Mm-hmm.
But for him, and I asked him more questions, I'm like, "Tell me more. What do you mean by that?" He's like, "I love helping people get out of pain."
Yeah.
Because if you have a root canal, that triggers pain, right?
Oh, it's so sharp, and it's just, ever present,
Yeah. And the other big thing we were talking about him, like who he wanted to target and who his ideal target audience was. He's like, "I love doing veneers." He was so passionate about it. And he told me a story about a woman. She was probably in her mid-20s, and she came into the office, and she literally consciously was covering her teeth the whole time she was talking, whether that was with her mouth when she was talking big or with her gums. And she was so embarrassed about her teeth that she didn't get a job. She had a hard time having the confidence to go to school, and it really was holding her back. And he talked about the process that she got all new veneers, so she had a beautiful smile. Yeah. And it wasn't just that she looked pretty, is that it literally changed her life. She literally had the confidence to wear her joy on her face. And she had the confidence to go out and get a job and to present herself to potential employers, to go back to school. It literally changed her life. No. And so we helped this particular dentist with these particular messages. Like these were the target audience that they were going after. I have another friend who's a dentist. He's my husband's best friend. And he, in dental school, I'm going to botch this. There's a really prestigious award in dental school where he went to school, and it's a French name. It's like the Pierre. That
sounds good to me.
I apologize. Maybe the dentists out there know what I'm talking about. But the award was that he's most likely to make a huge contribution to his community. And his philosophy, his joy, and his passion in dentistry is that he focuses on high quality dental material. He uses the very, very, very best material because long term, it helps with your dental health and your overall body health. Because as you know, like when your teeth are sick, your whole body will get sick.
Yeah, it's the gateway.
And so his whole practice is about being elevated, like that idea of like climbing the mountain, being at the vista. You do the very best work every day that you show up. And that's his guarantee. And he's meticulous. And He provides such a great quality product and an outcome for his clients. Guess what? It's a totally different website, totally different design, totally different photography. And the messages resonate with who they are. So when somebody comes to the website and sees those messages, they're going to resonate with the challenges that the consumer has, and they'll want to be in that space. And they'll feel like when they walk into the office that it mirrors what kind of experience they have at the office.
Yeah, and that's so important that your audience feels validated and recognized. And, when you do it right, a lot of them will come and say, that message it's like it was talking directly to me. I've heard that from clients, and it's so rewarding, to know that, hey, you've figured this out, and that you're attracting those people that you love to work with because you're passionate about it and because you put in the time to create that messaging.
Yes. Well, another thing too is that it is totally okay to have multiple touch points and multiple audiences that you're going after.
Yes.
Some people stay in that scarcity, like the desert, literally, like that there's not enough water. And they're like, I have to throw up all of my messages on my homepage or else no one's going to come. The reality is that if you give all of the options up front, no one will connect with the message. So I would encourage your listeners to be bold enough to proclaim who you want to work with, because there will be people on the outside of that demographic that naturally want to work with you as well. But pick 3 or 4 really strong messages that you want to target, and go for those with gusto. And I want to explain this in a way that I know everyone listening will understand, because everyone goes to the grocery store, right?
Yes.
So orange juice. Do you ever buy orange juice?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
we buy it for like Christmas. Like we don't have orange juice all the time, but we'll buy it for special occasions when I'm like doing a big breakfast for my family. And like I said, I have 4 kids. I have 6 people in the family, and we eat a lot of food. Can anyone relate to that?
You. We're like that. Yeah.
So if I go and buy orange juice, there's like single serving orange juices, and there's quart size orange juices, and there's gallon size orange juices, right? It's all the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's all orange juice. Some of it has vitamin C, and the others have vitamin C too.
Right. Yeah.
So how do marketers like distinguish which audience they're going after when you're buying orange juice? What's your guess?
That's a good question. Well, just based on the example you gave, some could just be sheer quantity of the people that you're serving. And so it's convenience when you grab a gallon versus, the quart size.
Yeah. So the word that they use to attract mothers to buy orange juice for their big family, they call it family size orange juice.
Yes. Yeah. Such a good point. Yep.
It's family size orange juice. Guess what? It's the same orange juice that it could be used for single people. A single person could buy family size orange juice. Yeah. Right. But the purpose of that is to attract the solution for a problem that their audience has. Right. And they have literally, it's like family size orange juice. They have 3 words. And that's why it's a great idea to hire a writer when you're doing your marketing copy, because sometimes the hardest thing to find is the 3 words or the 6 words.
Right.
Doritos doesn't have family size Doritos. What does Doritos call it?
Probably a party size or something.
Party size, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Because they're all about like the fun and the adventure and the crowds and the big game, right? Mm-hmm. Halloween candy.
No.
What is the small Halloween candy? What do they call those?
Yeah. The bite size. Yeah. That's right.
So then you're thinking about like small distribution to these little kids, right? It's like the snack size or the king size candy bar, for trick-or-treaters. If you want to be really cool, sorry, dentists listening. And maybe you have some cool buyback programs for Halloween candy, but if you want to be the cool house, you buy the full size or even the king size candy bars. Right.
Yeah.
But the whole purpose of this goes back to like, what problem are you solving? So there's a podcaster. Have you heard of Jody Moore coaching?
Yep.
She's awesome.
She is.
She's a great example of solving specific problems. So she'll be like, are you having problems with your sister-in-law? Right. Yeah. And she'll dive into that topic for a couple weeks, and that will be her lead magnet for her program.
Yeah.
And then this last month, she did a big advertisement about how do you help your kids through quarantine. We've been in quarantine now. We're March 2021. So we're hitting that year mark at the end of this week where we went into quarantine. And she's like, kids have really struggled with the pandemic. And so this month we're going to talk all about how to help your kids. So let's talk about like brainstorming ideas. Obviously, we can't brainstorm with listeners right now, but like with a dentist, so you work with a lot of dentists. What are some common specific problems that a dentist could focus on for a small period of time and then shift their message to something else? What are some ideas that you have?
Oh, well, I think, you get into some of the situational problems that people have, if the holidays are coming up and they're going to be seeing around or going to be around family and friends, and maybe they don't feel super confident about their teeth. That could be talking about whitening, or maybe I don't want to say short term, but the more immediate ways to lighten up a smile, for example, things like that. Yeah, you could get into.
And what a fun wordplay! How to lighten up your smile.
Yeah, I know,
literally,
right?
We're in a period of a depressed state of being. Yeah. In a lot of ways, with the economy and with the pandemic and lockdowns, and so that's a really great example of how you can play with words that mean multiple things. Like lighten up your smile is like literally like, let's lighten up a little bit and find joy, and let's lighten up your smile. And oh, by the way, one of the ways we can solve that problem is by teeth whitening.
Yeah. Well,
right?
Yeah. And it's so cool. Like just how you mentioned before, Sarah, just the power of words, they have a tremendous impact. Lighten, you also think of, well, maybe that your smile was heavy before, that you didn't feel confident, and you're carrying this heavy burden this whole time because you're not overly thrilled about how your smile comes across in public. And so, to really lighten that, I mean, it has so many ways you can take that. And as you dive into that and help explain that, I think a lot of patients are going to feel, they're going to feel validated. They're going to feel like, oh, that's exactly how I've been feeling. I didn't know how to find the right words, but that's really deep down, that's what I was feeling.
I love that. And a thought that's just coming to mind is like, how can you offer several touch points to your messaging? And I feel like, helping people visualize what they're experiencing, but what you said, feeling, how can you help elicit a feeling with them? And then pairing that with some kind of data so that you're touching both the right side and the left side of the brain.
Yeah.
Introduce the solution with a feeling, and then dive into the statistics, or then dive into the cost, or then dive into the process. Because you need to have both. But some marketers make the mistake of first thing is that they dive into process, or like what their process is or what their tools are.
Yeah,
and people don't care about that until they know that you solve a problem. So I have a friend, our next door neighbor is a dentist, and he has invested in drills that don't make sound. Which is kind of a cool technology.
Yeah,
I understand it's pretty expensive. And so rather than focusing on, hey, I've invested a lot of money in these tools, like nobody cares, right? As a dentist and orthodontist, I know you've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into your tools. But you can think about, what problem does that solve? Well, if somebody has anxiety about being in the dental chair, or they're uncomfortable, or it elicits some trauma. I mentioned I had a lot of dental work done as a child. So coming at it from, don't talk about the tools, talk about the problem that it solves, and then explain how you solve the problem. Makes sense? So
important. Yeah.
Another idea, like brainstorming. And here's another thing, just a suggestion that I do every day is like, if you're talking to your marketing team or you're hiring a consultant, just start brainstorming, just start getting out as much as you can, and then come in and edit and massage and tweak it. But when you think about an orthodontist, like he literally will change crooked teeth into straight teeth, right? Mm-hmm. So you can talk about playing words about crooked. Like, what are some other words that describe crooked teeth? Like, and you could play with that. But then also, how does that relate to life? What other feelings does crooked elicit? What feelings does straight elicit? And you can start playing with the words and massaging the words and seeing how you can benefit your clients. And then the other thing too is like with Invisalign, you're making your teeth straight or your bite correct so that maybe you're solving problems with headaches. Let's play with that for a minute. Let's say you're helping somebody's bite by straightening their teeth and straightening their alignment. You could target that message for teenagers, for college students, for young parents, and for retirees. Right? So you could have 5 landing pages that's the exact same message, but you're going to change that noun, like the pronouns that you're using, the nouns that those proper nouns that you're using, and you're going to change the pictures.
Yeah.
Because with the photos on your website and on your marketing, you want to show the resolved outcome. So your words are explaining the problem that you're solving so people can understand the words. But with the psychology, when we're talking about making it easy for somebody to understand, showing what somebody looks like after their problem is solved. Does that make sense? So if you have a horrible tooth pain, you're going to say, we help you solve your tooth pain. And you show a picture of somebody that's smiling, biting down on an apple. And then it's helping their brain combine the messages of like, oh, I have this problem and I want to showcase, I want to live the resolution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's so important, to bring in the visual aspect of it as well. As you were talking about this, Sarah, I thought, and I'd love to get your, quick insight on this, but just, you do such a good job of finding those, analogies, metaphors, symbols, stories to complement what you're trying to say. So how do you, really quickly, how do you do that? I mean, are you constantly searching for those? Because they're a great way to reinforce what you're trying to get across, and they're so memorable,
Yes, so that's a great question. You're right. I love the power of storytelling. And the reason why I like using metaphors is because I can take a story or an experience that I've had, and you understand it because you're finding data in your own memories to validate what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so first off, if you're using specific stories about your experience, don't use your pictures.
Yeah.
This is why. It's like, if I'm telling a story about my neighborhood growing up, I had a sycamore tree in my backyard. This is just an example of what not to do when you're doing stories. Okay. I had a sycamore tree in my backyard growing up that literally was 5 stories high. The house I grew up in was built in the 1920s. So now we're over 100 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a stud was until I got married.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. But you know how you build houses now with wood and there's studs. And if you're going to hang a big picture, you have to find the stud to hang the picture so the picture doesn't fall out. Well, in the sycamore tree, literally, like there was this huge branch that came down almost to the ground, and we would ride it like a horse.
Yeah.
And it would shade us in the summertime, and we'd have these big scratchy balls and these big, huge leaves that we'd have to pick up in the fall.
Right.
Now, if I showed you a picture right now of that tree, I mean, literally, like I'm in the second story looking out of my bedroom. It was like I was living in a tree house. It was such a cool tree. I just love this tree. But if I showed you a picture of my tree, you're going to see my tree.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing if anybody just heard me talk about that tree, there's a tree in your childhood or in your experience that you've had that your mind elicits your tree instead of my tree.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So number one is like, I think about when I'm brainstorming ways to elicit a conversation, I try to think like, just sit still for a minute and what memories come to play. What kind of feelings come to play when I'm explaining that. So for example, I was writing copy this week for a therapist, and we were doing a landing page specifically for young adults from 18 to like 25. Okay. And we were talking about some of the challenges that this particular demographic has and which of those challenges this therapist wanted to dive into.
Okay.
And, we were talking about, having to solve problems on your own, like all of a sudden you have to be a grown up and make all these decisions. And I just was sitting there and I started brainstorming. I'm like, I'm just going to start writing the copy. And all of a sudden in my mind came this image of me at the airport. And I know all of y'all have done this. And you got that long stretch of airport and it's long and flat. And you can either walk the whole thing, pulling your luggage, or you can go on the fast zip line.
Moving walkway, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about these college or these high school kids who are on a zip line they're like on the fast track. They're pulling their luggage. They're moving. They're walking past the people on the right who are standing, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they have to come to that stop, and they have to either run through that change in momentum of fast to slow. Some people will stop before they get there and then wait for their foot to kind of go over that line.
Right.
Does that make sense? And so for this particular client, I was like, that's a perfect example of an analogy that you can use. That's a physical experience that describes what your clients are doing in your office. So I like think about like your own experiences with your business. Like, did you get braces when you were a kid? Have you ever had a dental experience? What was an example of a good experience versus a bad experience? And then just think like, what kind of tactile things represent that in today's modern world?
I love that. I love that example. Yeah, that's such a great thing. Yeah, just a great strategy to use, you know. So just take some time.
A journal. Having a journal and like let's plant the thought in our mind right now that we're going to do two things. We're going to be aware of the opportunities to tell a good story. And we're going to be aware in our world, you know, go around your office and look at the tools that you've used and conjure up memories of using that tool to help somebody in need. Maybe that tool helped a little girl have confidence, or helped a young man go off and, you know, maybe he served a service mission, or maybe think about like those tools. That's a good way to look at it. Or look at your office and see what kind of analogies, what can those tools be compared to? And you'll come up with the things like if you decide you're gonna do that, be aware, because your mind will find those things. The second thing I would invite you to do from this day forward is find a way to keep and consistently get original photography. So whether you're hiring a photographer every 6 months to come in, a lot of orthodontists, like our kids' orthodontists, they take before and after pictures of all the kids. And the after pictures are hanging up all over his office. He probably has 5,000 pictures.
And that's just a magnet. When people walk in, they just go straight. And you see this in your house when people come over. Where do they go? They go straight to the photos on the wall. You know?
Yeah. So I know we're talking about stories and like analogies and how do we come up with that. It just is practice. But the photos, that's another thing. Like, the websites that we've created that go from a B to an A+, the only difference is not the copy, it's not the programming, it's not the design, it's the photos.
Interesting.
So having real photos, because you guys have all seen stock photos of dentist offices. You've seen the lady with the silky black hair pulled back in a ponytail and she's smiling in the dental chair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Does that really look like the people coming into your office?
Right. I know.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But finding ways to get good photography and real, like hire somebody to come in and take a picture of you working on your patients. And in exchange, you know, offer these 3 or 4 clients a free cleaning, free cleaning or free whitening kit as a thank you. But having great photography is key.
Yeah, having been a photographer for several years myself, I totally agree with you. And we've become so adept at identifying stock photos because they get used all the time, especially in certain industries, dental being one of those. And you can recognize them a mile away, and then it just looks like, because your eyes are immediately drawn to the images. And when you see that it's the same that's on this other website and the other website and the other one after that, it's just, you kind of just tune out because you feel like it's just a cookie cutter. Same thing as everything before. And even if you're getting a photograph, say for example, you're selling Invisalign. Invisalign's a great product. They've got great marketing tools. So rather than using their stock photography of, the box with the Invisalign on the outside of it, right,
having a photographer take a picture of the Invisalign packaging in your office is a great example of, we're introducing as much as we can tactilely, like sight, sound, touch, taste. We're trying to get as many senses as we can. So if somebody's been on your website, when they walk in their doors, they're like, oh, I've already been here. And just think about immediately, like the feeling like I've already been here, especially when you're going into a high stress situation like a dentist office can be, or an orthodontist can be. That feeling like I've already been here. This is a safe place. I'm familiar with this. I recognize this. You're planting that seeds of imagery in people's mind that they know what to expect.
Yeah.
And that goes back to that psychology of like, we want to stay alive and we want to use as few calories as possible.
Yeah.
So, you taking the colors, I hope that that the offices that you guys are in reflect the feeling you want to portray. Can we talk about color psychology for a minute?
Yes, by all means.
Color is another really powerful tool that we can use to integrate our message. And so you think about, Mark, you think about fast food. What are the colors that fast foods
Red
tend
and
to use?
yellow and, most of
And
the time. Let's see,
there's
red,
another
yellow.
color, yellow and red.
Yeah, yellow and red. Yep.
You look at Burger King, In-N-Out, McDonald's,
Mhm.
Wendy's. Wendy's is red and white, right?
Yeah.
Why? Why do they all use that color?
Because it's exciting. It's like, hey, it's I don't know.
It's
It
hot.
just, yeah,
It's
yeah,
fresh.
yeah.
Right? It's exciting, right? But there's psychology behind it. Banks. I want you to think, and those of you who are
Blue.
watching, what colors do they use?
Blue.
Blue. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's it's supposed to be trustworthy, and it's very what's another good word for that? But yeah, it's supposed to elicit trust.
Yeah. Guess what? It does.
Yeah, I know. That's why a lot of healthcare, right, is blue too, I imagine.
And green.
Yeah.
Like there's some healthcare in our close to us that's blue and green, right?
Mm-hmm.
And immediately you think about, you walk into an office that's in a bank. Hello, I want my money to be safe. I want to be able to trust my banker, right?
Right.
So colors on a website are really easy to change, right? Mm-hmm. And so I want you to think to the viewers at home, like, what kind of colors are in your office? And I'm not suggesting necessarily that you go out and redesign, but if you're looking at your branding as a whole, having a really good set of colors is so paramount to kind of infusing the message into everything you do. And if you can, and if you have, congratulations. But if you're infusing that on the website, on your brochures, on your business cards, into the office, if you want to infuse, maybe it's a feeling of adventure. Maybe it's a feeling of presentation. As an orthodontist, you want people to be able to present themselves in whatever they're doing. That would be a totally different color than if your foundation was that of security or peaceful, Right. My next door neighbor that's a dentist, his office is called Cascade Springs. Have you been to Cascade Springs up in Alpine Loop? It is a really cool ground waterfall. That's a good way to describe it. And so his office, it's beautiful. He has all these pictures of running water and nature. And he's the one that has the drillless mission, the tools. But the feeling that he's going after is elicited in the actual practice itself and also on the website. Yeah. So that's a really great exercise is to look at, like, what does the colors mean? Yeah. And maybe you could just tweak them a little bit, but really understanding that those colors derive a really important message.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. Because it plays a huge part in how you feel, and just I think those are great examples. Going through fast food or banks or anything like that, you can immediately have a different feeling when you see those colors, and so that's a great thing to remember there. Sarah, you talked a little bit about. Well, we had. Man, I have so many questions I want to ask you, but I know we don't have as much time as I'd like. But I wanted to ask this one. We talked about this before, but what are when it comes to using testimonials, like, this is a big part of gaining credibility and validating and really social proof, that concept of social proof. What are the best ways to how do you gather those? How do you get great testimonials?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you asked this, especially in the dentist and orthodontist in the service industry, where really your credibility is with your online reviews. Like, literally, if somebody is mad at you, they can let the world know in about 3 minutes, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. And so there's a kind of a pragmatic thing I want to talk about, a process, creating a process within your office staff that makes it easy. And then I want to share with you some strategies of, like, how to use them and what's the best way to use them on your material. Does that sound okay? Yeah,
sounds great.
A lot of software for dentists and orthodontists right now have built-in systems to gather testimonials, which is the easiest way. And if you don't have one, invest in one and call your software provider and ask them specifically, how do I use this function? Where do I use it? Because they'll have the training and the implementation. So if you haven't utilized it already, they probably have something that you can use. So that'd be my first suggestion, is calling your software provider and finding out what they have. But what you want to do is you want to talk to your software provider about connecting the testimony gathering piece of your survey and seeing if you can connect it to Google.
Yes.
Right? Because there's a part of that survey that is used to develop the processes in the office, right?
Yeah. Right.
To see how people are experiencing right after their appointment.
Yeah.
But part of it is also to build social proof. So talk to your provider. There may or may not be a way to do that. But the really cool thing about Google reviews is that it has to be a verified user. And so you can't take a testimonial from a survey and add it to Google reviews. It has to be done by the actual user that's verified through Google. And so one thing that you could do is after every appointment, set up an automated email. So you set it up once and it goes forever, and ask people to send you a review. Literally just make it so easy for people.
Right.
Whether it's like a QR code, if it's something like at your office, you could have a sign on your checkout desk that says, would you like to leave a review? And maybe you do a drawing and say every month that we get a new review, we're going to do a drawing for a free whitening kit.
Right.
Like use your inventory that you already have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then sending out, so this is what I would do. I would have a sign at the checkout desk. I would have a postcard that goes out, whatever the people who are leaving. And this might have to be modified with COVID, but they either get a text message right as they're leaving or they get an email. And then I would do a physical postcard that has a QR code on, says that, please, we'd love to have your review. And you can say something to the effect of, if you loved your experience today, please send us a review. We're doing a drawing this month. If you didn't, please call our office. We would love to make it right.
Yeah.
And so
Simple.
you're communicating in a way that you're not just getting the review, but you're developing a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
And then on your website, social proof is so important. So I'm going to give you a couple tips with online reviews. If you're doing a testimonial, I would publish no more than 1, maybe 2 sentences. Okay. And I would make it really big. I'd make the font like 25-point font. So literally 1 sentence, 25-point font. And I would scatter them on every page. So if you have an Invisalign landing page, you're going to want to have 2 or 3 Invisalign testimonials that are really big. And then on, your cleaning page, you're going to have 2 or 3 testimonials that are really big. And the reason why is because on websites, people don't read as much as they skim.
Yeah. That's such a great
So if you have this huge, long testimonial, maybe it's 70 words, no one will read it. But if you have 8 words that is like, this was an amazing experience. I loved Dr. Smith. He was incredible. Mm-hmm. People will read that.
Yeah. That's so powerful. That's because I think I see this a lot. Yeah. Where they'll just put the whole, and I've been guilty of this before too, where you just put the whole testimonial on there because it's good. It's got different elements in there and you're thinking, oh yeah, they're going to read this and think, man, this was tremendous for all these reasons that they listed here. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's such a good point that we've just become so good at just skimming content. And so got to be short and bite size.
Yes, absolutely. But if you have more information you want to share, I would love for you to use that in a case study. So a case study is kind of like a testimonial on steroids.
Yeah, right.
Where you're going into the story of a patient. And at the end of the story, then you share their testimonial. So that might be 3 or 4 paragraphs of the whole thing, or maybe 2 paragraphs. But in a case study, what you want to do, and obviously you have to get permission because of HIPAA laws, but for sure, a photograph, a name, and you can be careful about the name, like first name, last initial is one way to do that. And photograph's super important though. But then with a case study, you want to showcase what was the normal, what was their experience, their ordinary day to day. Number 2 is what was the explosion? What was the catalyst that caused them to take action? So that might be, that they had horrible tooth pain, or maybe their tooth chipped, or maybe they were going into high school. It was time for braces. There was some kind of catalyst. That's that catalyst time is where the provider comes into play. And then they have a new normal after the service. And that's where you can include that full testimonial. And so it's really important if you're going to share that testimonial, the way that it makes a really big impact is if you describe what it was like before.
Yeah. Give some context. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, and that's great. If you build that into your process, I loved. I think you said one of your clients does. Yeah, or yeah, as an orthodontist, so they always take good after pictures. I mean, if you just built that into your process, where especially if you're a dentist who loves to focus on veneers or implants or smile rehabilitation or smile makeovers, then that should just be part of your. I mean, what happens after they get it is you bring in a photographer and you provide them with beautiful pictures of themselves that they're more than likely going to go share on social media because
Yes.
they're so excited. But then you have these wonderful quality photos that you can
Yeah.
use in your
Yes.
marketing materials as well.
And a really big, this is just a personal preference of mine. You know how you go like this?
Yeah.
And they take a picture like that? And it's like this?
And
Don't do
nobody
that.
smiles like that.
Don't do that. Even with the pretty teeth. Don't do that. It's so cringy because nobody likes to have their mouth manipulated like that. And the only time they're going to smile like that is in your office. So like, you want to show the resolved outcome of the problem you solved, not the process you took to get there. So if you're taking before and after pictures, even if you need those pictures for your practice records,
right.
Take pictures before and after of their normal face and their normal smile. So show the whole head, show the whole smile in a way that they're going to be presented in the community.
Such a good point. Yeah.
Even mine, I'm like, cringe, don't publish that. So.
Oh, that's so true. That is so true. Well, I love that. So let's so we've talked about some great stuff on here. So we talked about really leading with your problems or with your audience's problems and how you can provide a solution to those problems, because that's what's really going to bring them in. They're not concerned about how many years you've been in business or your education necessarily. They're concerned about them, and what you can do for them. But we'd also talked about case study. We talked about testimonials and case studies. Touch a little bit about, because you did talk briefly about this, but we didn't go into detail. So you mentioned landing pages. When do those come into play? Let's talk about that first. When do you use a landing page as opposed to just a normal page on your website? And then what needs to be on there in order to improve the conversion of that landing page?
Yeah, that is a great question. So a landing page is different than having a website page. So typically on your website, you're going to have your home page, and that's your concierge. That is easy direction to all the things that you do, all the services, all the things like that. And then the goal, typically when you have a regular consumer on your website, you want to direct them to the information they need. So you're going to have a navigation bar up top, and they're going to be able to go through different pages and really get to know you, right? That's kind of your open house. So a landing page or a sales page is designed to get people to do one thing.
Yes.
And the goal is so say, for example, we're going to do an Invisalign campaign. Maybe you're a new provider of Invisalign. Okay. So the goal with Invisalign is to get them to schedule a consultation, because that's when you're really going to be able to interview them. You're going to see their teeth. You're going to be able to present a price, right? So the goal of the landing page is to schedule the consultation. Now with your landing page, and this could be, I'm going to give some other examples, but if you're selling a book, right? It's a low price item. It's an easy conversion. There's one thing.
Right.
If you're selling tickets to an event or a conference, maybe as a dentist or an orthodontist, you're part of a committee that's selling tickets to CEU classes, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I want you to think about when you use your landing page, it's really, you're trying to get them to do one thing. And typically it's a time sensitive campaign. So number one rule is you've got to take off your header and footer. Literally, you don't want them going anywhere else.
Click away. Yeah.
It's kind of like when you have a party at your house and you close all the bedroom doors.
Yeah.
And you're like, you can't go there.
It's not free range. Yeah.
Right. So that's the first. Take off your header and footer, and then you're going to build that landing page similarly to a website page. You're going to address the problem with your text. What is the problem that you solve? And you show the resolved outcome. So that's number one. Number two is, what is your promise? Mm-hmm. You acknowledge okay, so Invisalign, you have crooked teeth? Did you get headaches because of your crooked teeth? My promise is that within 18 months, your smile is going to be beautiful, but it's going to help alleviate your head pain. That's an example. I don't know if specifically somebody wants to use that promise, but what's the promise? Then you're going to outline what is the solution. So then you're going to outline Invisalign. It's a clear retainer system. You get a new retainer each week for so many months throughout the duration of your treatment. You're going to get X, Y, and Z, right? Then you're going to introduce a case study. Typically, landing pages are a lot longer than regular pages. You're going to be scrolling. So then you're going to show a case study. You're going to show testimonials. You want to sprinkle a call to action, one call to action, in like 2 or 3 spots. So if somebody up at the top of the page is like, I'm ready, they can go ahead and schedule that appointment. But if they need some more information before, it's going to be that same graphics, same call to action a couple different times. Then you're going to dive into more in-depth features and benefits. So that's when you're going to talk about, and you're going to get a free rinse. Like our orthodontist provides free rinse for his patients. You're going to include your before and after pictures. You're going to include a photo on the Hall of Fame. All the things that your office does that you don't realize are special because you're there every day. Make a list of all the things that you're going to get. You're going to get posted on our social media account the day that you are finished with your treatment. Like all of these things, you're going to introduce that call to action again. And I would include several testimonials in each of those sections. So I actually have, and I will share this with you guys, and you can share it with your listeners, a worksheet that goes through this process step by step that tells you exactly what you need. So you can provide it to your web developer if you're working on yourself, that you can use that workshop sheet to know exactly what to do.
Oh, I'd love that because I think there's a lot of people in the industry that don't understand the value of a landing page. They just, they'll have the Invisalign page, to use your example, just straight on their website. And then it's got, and as you're looking down on this, it still has the header, it still has the footer, and it's got even a navigation bar on the side sometimes. And you just want to click away, and I think your example of a party, where you're just keeping them in one room, you're not allowing them to go down the hall and check your bedroom or go outside. It's just that one designated area with a specific purpose. And that is to click and get them to come through.
Yes. And if you're thinking about acquisition costs, it's going to be so much easier to understand your acquisition costs when you take a sales page and maybe you make 2 or 3 of them and you can test them and you know exactly how much your advertising costs on pay-per-click or your social media ads or your email campaign. So you can measure those metrics on your social media or on your Google Analytics. And then you can see specifically what was your conversion rate to getting that appointment based on the messaging. And then once you have enough data, you have 300 to 500 people coming through that sales funnel. And you can do that with, advertising. Right. Then you know exactly what your acquisition costs are. And then you can funnel more money into it. So rather than hiring a pay-per-click and they're just sending traffic to wherever, having a really specific campaign in mind. And so maybe you're going to run Invisalign all year long, right? But that specific the landing page there, you can create a sense of urgency. That they get bonus gifts if they schedule and within a certain time frame, or you can put timers on your website, that says you can schedule an appointment anytime, but if you schedule in the next 15 minutes, we're going to throw in a free whitening kit into your treatment. We're going to keep going back to that. But then you can measure your data and if you're using a machine to make money, if you spend $1 and make 2, that's a really good business model. Absolutely. And so with a landing page and with really specific advertising, you can test that. But if you're spending 2 and you're getting 1 back, that's not a good business model.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. I see a lot of, not just dentists, but businesses in general. They'll try, pay-per-click, or they'll try social media ads, for example. And then they've maybe put together a really compelling offer, but it directs them just to their homepage on their website. And then the person's left to figure out, okay, well, I really wanted Invisalign, but now this is just a general website. Like I have to go and search out the Invisalign page. And it's just not intuitive at all. And it makes it harder for the person to stay engaged. And they're losing so many people because of that, because you're requiring them to do more, to take more effort to get to the information that they're seeking.
We gotta keep them alive and use as few calories as possible, right?
Yeah.
So making it easy, like being really clear. Another thing about making it easy is like using 4th grade vocabulary. Yeah. Like would a 4th grader understand the problem you're solving and the offering? And that's not to say that people aren't intelligent enough to understand more complicated text, but people are so busy and they've got so many other things going on that if you keep it really simple up front, their brains are going to be able to process what you're offering. And if they have that problem, then they're more likely to take action on the solution.
Yeah. And that's such a good point. I mean, I even having been, and I remember had already worked in the dental industry for a couple of years, and there were still terms that I wasn't totally clear on. I mean, when you're talking about a dental implant, for example, there's really 3 stages. There's the implant itself, there's the abutment, and the crown. And people have heard crown and they kind of know what it is, and the implant, they kind of just think that that's everything, that it's the whole thing,
Right.
and so yeah, it's just making sure that you're talking to them where they are and really taking them along that journey through the whole
And that's
process.
a great example of using analogies. So you have more experience in the dental practice, like off the top of your head, what would be a good analogy for that implant process? Like what's an analogy for the implant?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think just, yeah, anything that's a 3-step process, I mean, it's almost like you're planting a seed, where it takes a little bit of time to get the roots, just
Yeah.
like just like the implant, it has to integrate with the bone and make sure that it's solid enough to place the abutment, and the crown is going to hold
Yeah.
properly. And so, yeah, and then you're waiting for that to get to this next stage so that you can do the next step. And
Yeah.
then eventually you'll put in the actual crown on top, and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So
So I
yeah,
was that's what I was saying, like roots of a tree.
yeah.
Last week on social media, I'm a gardener. I love to garden.
Oh,
And I
cool.
saw a
Yeah.
picture of a little tiny sproutling,
Mhm.
like that the little packets that you get wet and they get bigger.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the little tiny sprout was probably 2 millimeters, but the root system was coming out of the packet already.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
you know, so as a dentist, you can think about your process and strip away the technical terms that you learned at university, but like, what could somebody understand this process using
Like
things and
everyday
experiences
examples.
outside of dentistry to understand what the process is like? So
Yeah.
trees would be a great example.
Yeah. Things that
And
they
the
see all
foundation
the
of a
time.
building would be a good example too. Like you have to build the foundation first,
Right.
and then you can't build on top of the ground until that foundation is built first. So but just to bring back the point that we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier, that's a great way to talk about your process. Keep it really simple, but then pull an analogy so it's easy for people to understand.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Oh, Sarah. Okay. Well, we could keep going for forever, just because we both get so excited about this stuff. Why don't we'll conclude now, and then I'd love to continue this for another episode. But is there anything that you feel like that we didn't touch on that would be really important for our listeners to know?
Um, I would just encourage each of you, whether you're a dentist, maybe you're an office manager, maybe you're a wife or a husband, somebody that works in an office practice. I honestly believe with all my heart that all of us come to earth with a purpose and a mission, that we are here with divinity within us, and we have experiences in our life. We have passion for a reason. And for some of us, that includes running a business.
Yeah.
That includes running a dentist office. And if you choose to use the passion that you have within your heart and excel, I mean, you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in school and building a practice and working with your patients. You've made that investment. You have an opportunity to lift your community by providing jobs, by providing a really incredible service. And I would just encourage you to continue on that path. And that when collectively as a whole, that we each step into that purpose that we have and the passion and the excitement that we have about our own craft, whether that's motherhood, whether that's owning a dental practice, whether that's orthodontia, whether that's, being an admin,
Right.
that we all have gifts and talents that can help elevate the community. And when we all do that, collectively the community will rise up. And there's so much business to be had and so much goodness out there. And we as humans are resilient. We've come through a difficult year. We're not even finished with some of the
Right.
challenges our community is facing right now. But I promise you are changing people's lives in ways that nobody else could. And that there's plenty to go around. There's plenty of business to go around. And just to be brave and bold and to stand in that passion and to use the bullhorn to
Yeah.
tell people what you do, and you'll be able to lift the community around you and inspire other people to do the same.
Beautiful. I couldn't have said that better. I mean, I think, yeah, just recognizing your your greatness, what you do to contribute to people's lives, and how much you bring, how much value you bring into their lives. Don't ever forget that. And if you need to go back and look at some of those case studies, the before and afters, read those testimonials, that should probably be a regular practice anyway with you and your team. But yeah, I love what you said, Sarah. There's
and really,
purpose and divinity in all of us.
Yes, my husband had an infected tooth that required a root canal this summer, and he was in more pain than he's ever been in his whole life. And the dentist that had practiced probably for 25 years, he's like, I've never seen anybody in this much pain. And it was a horrible experience. And this dentist, he had ended up having to have 2 surgeries instead of just one. He had to go to the ER. I mean, it was a really bad experience. And I was so grateful for professionals that had the tools, with the medicine and the engineering and the skills of the doctors and the nurses that helped my husband, because in another time, he might not have survived an infection like that. And I think as a provider, like understanding the before and after is so important, but just appreciating the fact that it might be every day to you. Like for me, websites are every day. It's no big deal, right? I can do them in my sleep. But just taking a moment to recognize the value that you provide and the lives that you're changing. If you have a healthy mouth, you have a healthy body. And, what kind of confidence, what kind of trajectory are you helping people be on because of the service you provide? And if you can feel that within your own self, that's going to exude to your staff and helping you appreciate the piece that they provide, whether it's an assistant in the office or assistant in the chair. And then they'll be able to have that feeling spread to your customers as well.
I love that. I love it. Oh, okay, Sarah, last question is, so if people want to learn more about what you do at Jumbo John and what you guys can provide, what's the best way to get in touch with you guys?
Yeah. So our website is jambojon.com. It's JAMBOJON.com. And there's several things that we're offering. I'm presenting a lunch and learn series, and Mark is going to be my guest on that in April. So you can go on our website and learn more about registering for that. But every month, it's an hour during lunch, and I do training on a specific topic about web development, whether it's copywriting or design or programming. And then I bring a guest on that's really good at marketing aspects that we don't provide. So like email marketing, copywriting, SEO, PPC. So if you're interested in joining the Lunch and Learn series, it's totally free. It's just a gift for the community so you can implement these marketing strategies in your business. You're welcome to join us there. And then there's also a button on our website for you to have a free consultation. If you want some help with your website, if you'd like to brainstorm some solutions for your website, I would love to spend a half hour and help you out.
Very cool. Okay, well, I'll put those up in the show notes and make sure everyone has access to those. Sarah, thanks again for taking the time. Well, I'm looking forward to the Lunch and Learn as well. But we'll definitely have to have you back on the show.
Awesome. I'd love to be here. Thanks so much, Mark.
Hey, my friends, thank you for joining us today on the show. And if you haven't yet, be sure to check out our website for resources, downloads, and additional information at www.dentalmarketingsecretspodcast.com. Again, that's dentalmarketingsecretspodcast.com. And we'll catch you next time on the show.